welcome to TV Africa News. Thank you so much for joining us and always being part of us. This is Africa Today. My name is Nahawa Kajur. But first are the headlines. 2 accused of a deadly stampede granted bail in Uganda. Ugandan court removes key part of controversial internet law. Rwanda can no longer accept Congolese refugees. In our sports news today, Paul Mucherezi leaves Vipers after expiry of contract. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. Please start with one of our top stories. In Uganda, Abi Musinguzi, the promoter of a deadly New Year's Eve event, and Elvis Francis Juko, the concert MC, appeared in court on January 10th, 2023, and were granted bail after the hearing by the Machindi Magistrate Court.
Speaking outside the Kampala courtroom, the defense lawyer Erias Lukwago said that they were arraigned on 13 counts of causing death or injuries to several people on account of being negligent and indulging in what they called rash act. 10 people, mainly children, lost their lives in the crash at the Freedom City Mall in the capital as revelers pushed through a single exit to watch a midnight fireworks show. So far, 3 people are detained over the tragic incident. Erias Lukwago called for an impartial application of the law. He said that the weak like Abitex and his co-accused will not get justice with the selective application of the law they are witnessing and with the police coming up with trumped-up charges against them. The deputy police spokesperson said that more suspects, including the mall owner-proprietor, had been summoned to appear before the investigating team and would be arrested if they failed to comply. Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni offered the families of the deceased 5 million Ugandan shillings to assist with the funeral expenses.
Thank you so much, our reporter. Moving on, in our top stories, Uganda's Constitution Court on Tuesday removed a key part of a controversial internet law, which rights groups charged was aimed at stifling free speech. We have more on this report. A section of the Computer Misuse Act made it an offense for anyone to use electronic communication to disturb or attempt to disturb the peace, quiet, or right of privacy of any person with no purpose of legitimate communication. Justice Kenneth Kakuru, announcing the ruling of the court's 5-judge panel, found the article in the 2011 law contravened the East African country's constitution and was null and void. Rights groups have complained about the communications law as a way for government to curb freedom of expression and crack down on opponents of veteran President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. People convicted under the law are barred from holding public office for 10 years, which Amnesty warned was a way of reinforcing state control over online freedom of expression, including by political opposition groups. The government has yet to say if it will appeal the ruling, which was hailed by rights campaigners. Apart from that, Rwandan President Paul Kagame said on Monday that the country can no longer accept refugees from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Our reporter followed up this story.
In the eastern DRC, a region rich in mineral resources, fighting between government forces and rebels from the M23 movement, a former Tutsi rebellion has increased tensions with neighboring Rwanda, which the DRC accuses of supporting the militia. Rwanda, however, denies any involvement. According to the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, in November 2022, Rwanda had some 72,000 Congolese refugees. In a report published in December, UN-mandated experts said that they had collected substantial evidence of direct intervention by the Rwandan Defense Forces on the territory of the DRC at least between November 2021 and October 2022. Diplomatic initiatives have been launched to try to resolve the crisis in eastern DRC, where an East African regional force led by Kenya is being deployed.
Thank you so much, reporter. We take a quick break. We shall come back with the international news. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. In international news, Gabon's President Ali Bongo named the country's first female vice president, Rose Christian, who served until his nomination as prime minister. Take a look at the story. The 59-year-old is a former mayor of the capital, Libreville, and Minister of Defense. She fills an office that has been vacant since 2019, making history for a second time. Indeed, in July 2020, she became the country's first female prime minister. The VP's role is to assist the head of state, and the person serving as vice president has no interim role in the event of a power vacuum. The president named a politician who has since 2006 held several ministerial portfolios. He is now tasked with forming a new government. Gabon is one of the African countries gearing up towards presidential elections this year. In August, millions of voters will head to the polls. The ruling party, the Gabonese Democratic Party, held a congress late last year with calls for the head of state to seek a third term. Moving on, the Somali-based Al-Shabaab extremist group has denied having contact with the Somali government after the country's deputy defense minister claimed that the extremists had, for the first time, asked to negotiate.
On Saturday, Deputy Defense Minister Abdi Fattah al-Qassim told journalists in Mogadishu that Al-Shabaab requested to open negotiations with the Somali government, but there are two groups within Al-Shabaab. He said Somali members of Al-Shabaab have a chance to open up negotiations, but those foreigners who invaded their country have no right for talks. The only option is to return where they are from. Qassim added that for the Somalis, they are ready to receive them if they are willing to surrender to the Somali government and follow its instructions, reintegrate with their society, or face the Somali National Army in the front lines. It was the first time Somali's federal government had claimed the extremist group had requested talks. Al-Shabaab is an Al-Qaeda affiliate that for well over a decade has carried out high-profile bombings in Somalia's capital-controlled parts of the country's central and southern regions, complicating efforts to rebuild the once-failed state after decades of conflict. They have carried out several high-profile attacks over the years in Kenya, including in the capital Nairobi and at a military base used by the United States.
Away from that, Nigeria's presidential election scheduled for late February could be cancelled or postponed if the current level of insecurity persists in the country, according to the Electoral Commission warning. Nigerians are due to choose a successor to President Muhammadu Buhari, a former general who is not standing for re-election after 2 terms in office that have failed to curb the serious security problems plaguing the country on February 25th. Abdullahi Abduzuri, one of the heads of the INEC, said during a meeting in Abuja that if insecurity is not monitored and reduced, it could lead to the cancellation and/or postponement of the elections in enough constituencies to prevent the announcement of the results. In view of February 25th vote, he stressed that all security forces and election officials must be equipped to deal with any challenge at any time. Nigeria, Africa's most populous country, is in the grip of a severe economic crisis and numerous security problems. 18 candidates are vying to succeed Buhari, including Bola Tinubu of the ruling All Progressives Congress, Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party, and Peter Obi of the Labour Party. Africa Today takes a quick break. We shall come back with business, health, and sports. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. Talking matters business, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa said on Sunday his ruling African National Congress was determined to fight against crime and corruption after a series of graft scandals have damaged the party's popularity.
Ramaphosa was speaking in Bloemfontein at celebrations to mark the ANC's 111th anniversary. The day is used to outline the party's program of action and set the tone of the year ahead. It is also known as the January 8th statement. Ramaphosa said to hundreds of party faithful that they will continue to heed their messages, which they have articulated clearly about the government and their movement taking steps to right corruption out of South African life. Ramaphosa, who was re-elected as the ANC leader in December, also said that ending blackouts and solving the energy crisis is one of the party's top priorities. He has considered that load shedding was harming the country's economic growth. South Africa is currently on stage 3 power cuts.
In a health news today, the Senegalese government announced on Tuesday new measures to fight against the road insecurity, including a ban on night bus trips and the import of second-hand tires after an accident that killed 39 people on Sunday. We have more.
The Prime Minister Amadou, at the end of the government meeting in the new town of Diamniadio, near Dakar, announced that public passenger transport vehicles will be banned from traveling on interurban roads between 11 and 5. Buses called schedules carrying passengers and goods, many of which travel at night from region to region, are one of the main means of transport in Senegal and cause many accidents. Other measures prohibiting the importation of second-hand tires and making mandatory the sealing of speedometers of vehicles transporting people and goods at 90 km per hour were also announced at the meeting on Tuesday. Orders will be issued within 72 hours to enforce the 23 new measures announced. The new measures are announced after the collision between two buses that killed 39 people and injured 101 in the village of Sikilo in the Karafin region, some 250 kilometers from Dakar. President Macky Sall, who visited the scene of the accident the same day, declared 3 days of national mourning.
In a sports news today, Vipers Sports Club Paul Mucherezi has announced departure from the Ugandan Premier League defending champions with immediate effect.
Mucherezi, 29, joined Vipers in 2020 from Mbarara City and signed a 3-year deal with the Kitende-based club. However, on Tuesday, the midfielder came forward announced on his social media accounts that he is leaving the defending champions with immediate effect. Mucherezi thanked the Vipers fraternity for sharing the wins and losses, the triumphs and tribulations. He added that working with Vipers has been a true privilege and was leaving them with a grateful heart. The 29-year-old player, however, said he will soon announce his next destination. Starting his career at Mutundwe Lions, the 29-year-old born of Mtungamo has also previously played for 13-time league champions KCCFC.
It is at this particular time that I thank you for being with us and always joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We should keep updating you. It is TV Africa, the right to know.